Greetings everyone, welcome back to another lesson of Bite-Sized History on History with Audrey D. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at the geography of the kingdoms of Kush and how it impacted the development of the kingdoms of Kush as well. If you're enjoying these lessons so far, please make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, find me on Instagram and TikTok as History with Audrey D for more snippets of historical information. You can also support this channel through Patreon. I'm on there as History with Audrey D as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into our lesson on the geography of the ancient kingdoms of Kush. As usual, we need to take a look at our standard, our learning goal, and our learning target for today's lesson. Now, with today's lesson, our standard is again going to be standard 2, which is to describe the emergence of early civilizations. Our learning goal for today is going to be to analyze the relationship of physical geography to the development of ancient river valley civilizations. And our learning target for today is identify the geographic and economic factors that led to the rise of Kush. Some essential questions that we're going to be looking at today include what geographic features did Kush have, and what geographic and economic factors led to the rise of the kingdoms of Kush. The ancient kingdoms of Kush are found in what is now northern Sudan. These lands also came to be known as Nubia. They helped to create the cultural and political landscape of northeastern Africa for over 1,400 years. They were the first great kingdom of the African interior. As part of Nubia, Kush also stretched from the upper Nile River to the Red Sea. This is the part of Nubia that is described as the region between the cataracts of the Nile River. These 6 whitewater rapids, also known as cataracts, have been utilized as stopping places on journeys up the Nile River for millennia. Due to its position on the Nile River, the Kingdom of Kush also benefited from the annual floods, which deposited rich silt on the banks and provided fertile lands to farm on. However, they were not reliant on these floods. This made Kush successful with agriculture similar to Egypt, and it had productive farming villages as well due to the fertile lands and abundant rainfall. They were able to grow both winter and summer crops, which included wheat, barley, and other grains, as well as beans and yams. Cattle herders were the first to settle in this region. The savannas and eventually the banks of the Nile were used as grazing lands for livestock as well. There were 2 different capitals for the Kingdom of Kush. The first was Napata, which was located in northern Kush along the Nile River. It was the capital of Kush during the peak of Kush's power. Around 590 BCE, the capital of Kush was moved to Meroe, which was further south and created a more secure buffer between the fighting of Kush and Egypt. Meroe, as discussed a bit in our previous vocab lesson, was a center for ironworking, which was an important resource and part of Kush's success as a kingdom. The Kushites, as they were called, also built pyramids at burial sites similar to the style of the Egyptians. They also worshipped the Egyptian gods and practiced mummification of their dead. The 2 most important resources of ancient Kush, however, were iron and gold. Kush became a wealthy kingdom in large part due to the ability to trade gold with the Egyptians and other neighboring nations. Iron, due to its strength and use for tools and weapons, was the most important metal of this era. Other minerals that Kush was well known for included copper and stone. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few different styles of maps that represent the kingdoms of Kush, as well as their geography and what types of exports they may have had. The first map that we're going to look at is the Kush Empire during 700 BCE. Now, around this time, we can see by the orange color that Kush is represented in, this is the peak of the empire. It actually went all the way from just south of the Sixth Cataract and Meroe up north to Lower Egypt and into the Mediterranean Sea. Now, the Egyptian Empire is also represented at its full extent here on this map as the red line. And one of the neat things about this is that you can actually see that ancient Egypt at one point extended up into the Arabian Peninsula. And along the route, we can see the cataracts that were so crucial in trade posts for Nubia as well. So these 6 cataracts start at just south of Thebes and end just south of Meroe. One of the important parts about these cataracts is that they were stopping points along the Nile River, which allowed for trade to transpire at the different capitals and the different cities on its route. Our last map that we're going to be looking at is the map that represents gold and iron deposits in the Kingdom of Kush. And while this map is from a later era, it actually still represents where all of the gold and iron would have been found in this kingdom. The Kingdom of Kush at this point in time is a bit smaller, and so it's not going to be at its prime. This is closer to when the Kingdom of Kush was near its end. The gold deposits that we can see start around Abu Simbel, which at one point would have actually been part of ancient Egypt. These areas are also known as Lower and Upper Nubia. Moving farther south, we see that along the Nile River, many of the gold deposits can be found, starting at the Second Cataract and moving all the way down to the Fifth Cataract. Nubia, as I mentioned, was really well known for its trade in gold. On this map, we can actually see near the city of Meroe the iron deposits, and those are represented by silver bars. The reason why this was so important is that Meroe became a pivotal point in the creation of iron weapons and tools, and it was also a key trading center for the kingdoms of Kush. And that is it for the geography of the kingdoms of Kush. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you did, please make sure that you are hitting that like and subscribe button. If you have any questions, make sure you're putting them in the comment section below and I will get to them as soon as possible. Also, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok as History with Audrey D for more historical snippets of information. You can also support this channel through Patreon. I am on there as History with Audrey D as well. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I will see you in our next lesson.